The nature-nurture question has been present in our culture since Francis Galton coined the phrase in the late 1800s. And so there's always a constant debate about whether nurture or nature is more prevalent, especially in human behavior. And I think for some reason, people in the culture prefer to defer to nature more than they do nurture, for a variety of reasons. Perhaps it excuses behavior more easily, it eliminates responsibility for behavior or for changing behavior, I'm not sure. It's quite clear that we are, at the very beginning of our lives, we are nothing but genetic organisms, and our genes continue to influence our behavior throughout our whole life. The real question is, to what extent do they do that? Anybody that puts a number on that is foolish, because you can't put a number. You can't say, well, genes contribute 30% and learning contributes 70%. What I would say is that if you look at species across the phylogenetic spectrum, there are some species whose behavior is clearly more genetically programmed than other species. And frequently we talk about those genetic programs as modal or fixed action patterns. So we're talking about mate selection, nest building, caring of young, predation, defending oneself. If you look at other animals, most animals in most species engage in very similar behaviors under very similar circumstances. But human behavior is really noteworthy for its variability. It's difficult to find any specific behavioral pattern that applies to all humans under the same circumstance. So without putting a number on the contribution between nurture and nature, what I would say is that it's better to err on the side of nurture, because that's a more optimistic view, because you can change your environment and hence you can change behavior. Right now we can't change genes to change human behavior, and some people would find that troublesome even if we could. So I think it's, without trying to come down on either side of nature and nurture, I think it's just better to err on the side of assuming that nurture is the more important determinant of human behavior, and then going about looking for the causes. And then if you run up against a genetic wall, then you can acknowledge that and move on to something else.